Hello, this is Tio. This is episode 4. Um, in start of the second season, I wanted to kind of change it up a little bit and do different series to kind of expand the show and also keep ya engaged. So I came up with a series called Story Time. With Story Time, it ranges, but it can be a particular photo. We kind of started last season a little bit, but it could be a specific photo that I took, or it can be um, in this case, is a particular piece of equipment. So it is pretty much, going behind the scene of a story and involving photography. So with, with today's story time, we're going to discuss my first time using the Canon 5D Mark IV. As a lover of photography, I enjoy reading up on new cameras that comes out. I'm always researching and exploring techniques to further my skills. So with this story time, you know, I I actually borrowed a camera from a good friend of mine. He owns the Canon 5D Mark IV, and at one point I wanted to purchase the camera, and I decided against it. Um, Nothing bad or anything. I'm gonna presume at the time it just wasn't the right time, but found out my buddy had it, and I asked if I can borrow it. Shout out to my boy Jake, and he he said, "Yeah, hold it for a few days and see how you like it." And I took it for a few days. I'm going to, you know, reveal the photos that I took with the Canon 5D Mark IV. And with that being said, I used it for about, I think it was like 3 days. And, I used it at different times throughout the day. Um, and this was not too far along. So it was still in the season. It was in the winter season, and one of the things I liked about the Canon 5D Mark IV, what I noticed immediately was just his dynamic range. I was just so impressed by it. I've always heard of it, but when you actually get the opportunity to actually use it and see it for yourself, it's like, wow, this is such an amazing camera. Now, I myself shoot primarily Sony slash Minolta cameras. You know, I've shot Nikon cameras. I try to see the other spectrum when it comes to cameras and just see what these companies are doing. It just kind of expanded my knowledge base. And one of the things I noticed immediately was the 5D had an optical viewfinder. Now, I'm very spoiled. I use a electronic viewfinder. Um, you know, the only time I'm even remotely close to even using an optical viewfinder is when I'm shooting film. Because film, what you see is what you get. So this was an interesting experience as far as going back and forth. You know, the learning curve wasn't crazy or anything, but it was definitely a different experience. You know, Good thing I know my fundamental triangle for photography. So I was able to set it, but I was so used to with electronic viewfinder, able to compose my shot on the viewfinder and knowing that's what it was going to look like, versus with the 5D, I set my settings, use the viewfinder, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting. I took the shot, but I found every shot that I was taking, I had to hit the toggle mode just to see my photos, and it was driving me nuts because I'm like, I felt like it was a back and forth experience for me. I'm not knocking Canon by no means. This is not a hating type of video. It's nothing of that nature. It's just me telling my story on my experience with the Canon 5D Mark IV. Plain and simple. That's all it is. So if you're a Canon person, you know, I have great respect for the brand. I have great respect for mostly every camera brand. And I don't really, and I think cameras are for different individuals. Some cameras work better for one person than it does another. So I don't feel any bias as far as that goes. So, got the chance to, you know, shoot different things, different environments, and just got the chance to really play with the camera. And once I got, once you set your settings, your exposures, your shutter speed, your f-stop, you're good to go. You can just keep shooting with the same setting as long as the lighting doesn't change. So it wasn't so much a big deal, but it was definitely a different experience for me, because my main shooting camera, if you follow my video last season, I talked about my digital cameras. The one I'm recording now is my Sony A99, which is essentially equivalent to the 5D Mark, I think 3 or 2. Is pretty much this similar camera. This just has an electronic viewfinder. So I've been spoiled by that. I don't think I can ever do anything different. That's just me. Some people stand by it. They love it. They love seeing the scene the way exactly it is. And I'm cool with that. One of the other cool features that I love about the camera was the touchscreen. I haven't used any cameras with touchscreen capability, so able to navigate and change everything on the screen was pretty cool, and was very responsive. I thought it was cool. This is not a review video, by the way. I just want to kind of throw that out there. Cause I feel like I'm kind of reviewing. I'm not really reviewing. I'm just talking what I think is super cool about the camera. But that touchscreen was pretty dope. And what I like about it even more, was the ability to take pictures with the touchscreen. So it had a shutter mode. So you move your focus point around, then you just press the screen, and it took the shot as you went. I think that blew my mind. I think that was a pretty dope feature. It'll be interesting to see how far that feature goes with the newer Canon cameras. I know there's been rumors that there will be no shutter buttons on the save feature Canon camera. So that's going to be pretty interesting. Take something that has been a major staple in the camera game. I mean, we do it with our cell phones. We could take pictures with the screen, hence the touch screen with the 5D Mark IV. I had a pretty cool experience with it. I'm going to release my top 10 favorite photos that I took with the 5D Mark IV. And you be the judge. I had a good time with it. I think it was a dope camera. I'm glad I had the opportunity to shoot it. But other than that, it's game time. The one thing I did note that I thought it was unique. Not unique, but it definitely made me think of high megapixel cameras. because all my main cameras, they all shoot 24 megapixel, which is, at one point I was part of the megapixel race. My very first camera was a 5 megapixel camera, digital camera. So this thing is, I believe it's a 30 megapixel camera. The amount of storage, even though it's a 6 megapixel difference, I mean, once I was done shooting, I had about, I want to say it was almost like 30 gigs worth of photos. I'm like, man, that is insanity. It made me rethink if I want a higher megapixel camera when the day comes or when I want to upgrade. Yeah, that is way too much storage space to be taken up. I think 24 is a nice medium, and I'm glad I was able to shoot the Mark IV because it let me know, you know what? Yes, it's nice and cool to be able to crop in and not lose details, but anytime you upgrade something, you got to upgrade other stuff. It's just like the Sony A7R4 with its 60 megapixels. You need a computer to make sure you can run those files properly, because that is big. Everybody gets excited about the newest and latest, but they never stop to think, do you have the proper gear to support that new purchase? You're buying expensive gear, but you have cheap tools that cannot handle your video work or photography work. Sorry if I sound like a hater. That was not my intention, but that is something that is true to it. I enjoyed it. I'm gonna drop the pictures as promised. Enjoy your day, night, whatever time you're watching this. Peace.